Hey everyone, Daniel Swansong here. Welcome to my guide to maximizing Dragoon DPS in Alexander Savage Floor 2, The Cuff of the Father. Before I begin, it's worth noting that different groups are going to deal with this fight in different ways, so there might not be one universally applicable set of strategies. But having said that, let's try and establish a few core principles for properly managing your DPS in the fight. To begin with, we're going to modify our GCD rotation for much of the encounter. Instead of going with heavy thrust followed by a 4-hit combo, then phlebotomize followed by another 4-hit combo, we want to go with heavy thrust, Ring of Thorns, combo, combo. So in other words, we're replacing phlebotomize with an early Ring of Thorns chained with your heavy thrust usage because it's so TP efficient and because there's so much AoE damage for us to deliver. The second principle to keep in mind is that targets with stacks of vulnerability take much more damage, so if your goal is to increase your numbers, then you pretty much want to guarantee that you're only attacking enemies that have stacks of vulnerability on them, and that you're always trying to attack the ad that has the most stacks of vulnerability. Our next guideline should be to always try to hit as many enemies as possible with Gerskogel. Keep in mind that its range is huge, and it can be abused particularly by sometimes moving around or targeting over to a different ad in order to make sure that it hits an entire group. Finally, try to be cautious in the way that you balance your Gerskogel use against your Blood of the Dragon timer. If you've done the fight before, you've probably noticed that it's surprisingly easy to lose Blood of the Dragon just based on those tiny gaps of time between successive waves. Obviously, this should be avoided if at all possible. Now, let's go ahead and begin a more specific analysis of the different phases of the fight and how you want to approach them.
Alright, cool. Going in 3, 2, 1.
Naturally, we're not going to be very aggressive with our cooldowns within these first two waves because there are so few ads involved. The only thing that we really want to do that's noteworthy is push out Dragonfire Dive on the second wave because that's going to help us to sync up Dragonfire Dive better with the ad-heavy portions of the fight later on. I also do use a single Gerskogel during wave 2 because otherwise a portion of your Blood of the Dragon timer would go to waste.
Really?
Yeah.
Next up is Wave 3, and because it has so many ads, it's a fantastic opportunity for you to push out a ton of AoE damage. So I'm popping all of my major cooldowns, Blood for Blood, Battle Litany, and Torn Release. I even use a potion here, and I'm really going nuts on these guys. You'll also notice that in this case, I use a couple of Doom Spikes, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I could get away with it here because I have a lot of TP regeneration being thrown at me during the encounter. I think I get a couple of goads, but that might not necessarily be true for you, in which case you can still do a lot of damage using your regular DPS rotation here. Wave 4 will be a lot more low-key. There's nothing too exceptional going on here. You're DPSing down the ads, you're throwing out a Gerskogel or two as needed.
Will you stack it a little bit better?
Is it usually supposed to die that quick?
Yep.
Oh man, next level.
As Wave 5 begins, I go through most of my single target rotation
Right about
on
here.
this Gob Widow, which of course your tank would have to be comfortable with. They have to pick it up pretty quickly, but that lets me do a little extra damage as these soldiers get dragged into place and stunned. And once they're there, it's a great opportunity for some more AoE damage. You can sneak in a Gerskogel or two, and Dragonfire Dive should be available at this point. Ideally, those attacks should hit all 4 of the ads while Blood for Blood is active, which is quite nice.
Want to be pacified in a second.
As we move into Wave 6, really nothing exceptional is happening here. You're just going to go through your regular kill priorities. Use Gear Skogul as appropriate, save gap closers if needed.
Bombs on bow.
Do you need to take stacks off of this Skywalker? I don't remember.
Notice that I do save Battle Litany as it comes off cooldown at this point, because it's much better suited for the next wave, as we'll expand upon in a second.
You can start moving. Start moving to your spot.
Now Wave 7 is yet another fantastic opportunity to really boost your DPS, as is true of all three of the remaining waves, frankly. But ideally your group will be placing all of the dolls close together, and that enables you to land Gear Skogul on all dolls every time you use it, which is great. Battle Litany will be up as well. Blood for Blood should become active at some point during this phase. Your Ring of Thorns should be able to hit all the ads, and your Chaos Thrust dots will have a lot of time to tick away. So this is a really good phase. Now obviously Wave 8 has a ton of ads grouped together, as does Wave 9. At this point you're popping cooldowns the moment they become available. Your rotation is still
TP,
Heavy
please.
Thrust, Ring of Thorns, combo, and always keep in mind that Gear Skogul range. You don't want to blow Gear Skogul hitting only maybe 3 of the ads when you could have hit 7. Now, it's definitely possible that you're going to be very TP starved at this point in the fight, so you really do require some assistance. It's a marathon of an encounter, and even if you drop that procced Ring of Thorns from your rotation to save TP, you'll probably find yourself empty towards the end of the
Do
fight.
you need to hold or?
And finally, here we are in Wave 9, which again is pretty unexceptional. Pop cooldowns as soon as they become available. Try to hit everything with Gear Skogul and Dragon Fire Dive as appropriate.
Walker.
Can you turn those on right now, please? Thank you.
Finish off with a little.
Do you need to take an ad from him?
Nope. Doll now.
Someone finish that sniper off. Still gonna self-destruct.
I got it.
It's my last defensive cooldown.
Walker first.
Let's take the red walker. It's hard. One on the right. Yeah, the widow, sorry.
You got 1 minute.
Got it.
TP's a little dry. Guess I'm on my own.
Bet your dick's
I got you.
dry.
Mine, man. You're right. It is.
Can you throw that other walker, please?
Alright, let's clean this up.
We got it. It's clear.
3
Good job,
seconds.
everyone.
So there we have it. There's the kill, and that concludes my guide for Alexander Floor 2 Savage.
We even started just a little bit late too, so.
Congrats, Eli.
To repeat, the fundamental principles of this fight are, you want to usually modify your GCD rotation to Heavy Thrust Ring of Thorns, combo. You want to focus DPS on vulnerable targets, manipulate the range of Gear Skogul, and be sure never to lose Blood of the Dragon. I'll conclude by noting that I actually consider this to be an extremely deep fight to master. It's taken me a long time to really get a sense of what times out when and how to manage everything so that my abilities go the way that I want them to. So don't be discouraged if you struggle with this encounter. I would say that good DPS is about 1500 plus, whereas the upper range of top tier DPS for this fight would be something in the 1800 to even 2000 range, which I think only one player at this point has broken 2k. In any event, best of luck to everyone in A2S and beyond. I apologize for the lateness of this video relative to the content cycle, but I hope that you found it helpful.